Good morning, dear students. A warm welcome to all of you for our today's digital session for the subject Science and Technology Section B. In our previous session, yesterday, we have started with a new chapter from Section B, Environmental Management. In this chapter, we have studied the difference between the two terms weather and climate and how both of them play a very important role in our daily activities. Then we had moved towards the next topic, that is solid waste management, which is the need of today's hour. So as usual, in the first 5 minutes, we are just going to have a glance and revise the topics which we have studied yesterday before we proceed with the new topic. So the first topic was the difference between the two terms weather and climate. As I have told you, weather, it is related to a specific location and specific time, whereas when you speak about climate, it is related to a longer duration and larger area. In scientific terms, when you speak about weather, it is the atmospheric conditions at a specific time at a particular place, and climate is a long-term predominant condition of the atmosphere. Weather, about the weather, you speak on a daily basis. In the morning, it is hot. In the evening, it is cold. The sky or the cloud, it is cloudy. And when you speak about climate, to decide the climate of a particular region, the recordings of several years, the recording of weather related parameters like the temperature, rainfall, humidity for several years, that recordings are taken into account and the average is calculated. So the mode of the different types of shelter, food, clothing, not only that, the occupations of the people is decided only and only by the climate of the region, the state which they stay in. So what is the importance of weather in our living world? You know, daily weather as also long-term climatic conditions, they influence the human lifestyle directly or indirectly. Climate of a particular region helps to determine the diet, clothing, housing, occupation and lifestyle of the people in that region. All these topics, all these points we have studied yesterday. I had told you, the people who stay in the coastal areas, the climate there is, you can say, good for the, in the coastal areas, you know, fish or fishing is the major occupation. For people in desert areas like Rajasthan, the occupation there is camel riding. Depending upon the type of climate, hot, cold, the clothing is decided. So it is the climate which plays an important role here. Climatic factors bring about the weathering of rocks in the earth's crust. Climate plays a very important role in the formation and enrichment of soil, and microbes in the soil play an important role in the formation of organic materials, and all this process depends upon the various climatic factors. As I have told you, this part is removed from the syllabus, but just for revision we have taken up this topic. Now, the different factors which are required for the determination of climate of any region. To determine the climate of a particular state, of a particular place, of a particular region, different points are taken into account. Let us see them one by one. Climate. To find out the climate, it is not the work of one people, or it is not the recording of weather related parameter for one day or 1 week or 1 month. You have to take into account the recordings for several years, which is done by the meteorology departments, which is established by most of the countries in the world. This department have different observatories which keep on observing the changes in weather, the recordings in weather to determine the climate, and all these observatories are equipped with modern instruments and technology. There, the prediction of the climatic changes of the future. is done, means if present climatic conditions are analyzed with reference to the past climatic conditions, then only we can predict the climatic changes of the future. Forecasting here is very important, and you know this forecasting is easy for places where climatic changes are slow and of a limited type, limited nature, but where the climatic changes are complex, interdependent and fast, that is rapid, making forecast is very difficult. It is a challenge ahead of the meteorological department. After that, we have studied what is meant by meteorology and about the IMD, that is India Meteorological Department, which functions for our country, that is India. It was founded by the British in the year 1875. It has different regional offices at Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Nagpur and Delhi. It works by preparing maps which are prepared and published twice in every 24 hours. You can say predicting about the future climate or predicting about any calamity coming ahead is very difficult. For that, maps are prepared which records the weather in a particular day twice. So they are prepared and published twice in a day, in every 24 hours. Next is continuous research goes on before declaring, before alerting about any foreseen circumstances, providing information about the weather and climatic conditions to the other departments. If the other departments are alerted, then it can save the loss for the common people. For example, if the rainfall, a heavy rainfall is alerted by the IMD to other departments like the municipal corporation and all, they will alert the common people through different social media, through news, through your WhatsApp, and then the common people, they become alert. Not only the common people, but the people who are engaged in agricultural activities, they can be alerted and their fields, their farms can be saved. Fishing department, the fisheries, the fishermen, they can decide not to carry on this activity because due to heavy rainfall, it will be very dangerous to carry on the activity in the oceans. So the major role of the IMD is to, you can say, analyze, record the observations related to weather, prepare the maps and alert the other departments. Predictions regarding different calamities like heavy rainfall, sandstorms, dust storms, tsunami. Just now we have witnessed about the cyclone. So all these predictions and alerting the people beforehand is done by IMD. The major role of this department is to alert the people and minimize the losses. Because if any cyclone, if any sandstorm is alerted to the people living in the nearby areas, they can be shifted to a safer place and the loss of property and lives, especially the loss of lives, is prevented, is reduced. Next, we had started with a very important topic, solid waste management, which is the need of the hour. What do we mean by solid waste? You know, different activities are being carried out by human beings, not only human beings, by animals. So the different waste materials which are generated through the various daily human activities is called solid waste. A good example we had taken in the hospitals. Now different types of surgeries are carried out, different types of, you can say, diagnosis is done, and different things are required for all these purposes. Bandages, after surgery, the tissues, organs, removed organs of the patients, the different types of syringes, needles, all these things, they form the solid waste. And the topic is solid waste management. Why management? Because if the generated solid waste is not, you can say, disposed of or taken care of in a proper way, it can be a various, you can say serious worldwide problem. It is not only, you can say, dangerous in our country. we know that India, China, they are the highly populated nations. So for our country, really it is very, very serious. But this solid waste management, carrying out the management of this solid waste has become extremely important worldwide. Why it is a serious worldwide problem? Because this solid wastes which are produced through the activities, if not taken proper care of, they will cause both water and soil pollution. They pollute the water, they pollute the soil. How? Yesterday we had seen different examples, and really it is a serious problem from the point of view of economic growth of the nation, environmental degradation and health. Just look at this picture. Yesterday also I had shown you this picture. The different types of solid waste in the form of plastic bottles, thermocol dishes. If this wastes are allowed to just gather or piled up without attending them, without disposing them, then the smell which will be coming out from this solid waste, it is really going to harm the human health, and it can even cause different chronic diseases, different dangerous diseases. Now we are going to study about the two types of wastes. If you just refer in your textbook page number 101, they have given a list of the different wastes. Domestic waste, industrial waste, farm waste. You can just go through it. That part is removed out from our syllabus, so we are not going to study it, but for your information, for your additional knowledge, you can just go through that part. Now the two basic types of wastes which are generated, that we are going to just see one by one. The first is biodegradable waste. A lot of meaning is hidden in the word biodegradable. Now this type of waste, if you just look at the photos, here you can see the skin of the fruits, you can see the stalks of the vegetables. Means what? This type of waste which is produced is easily degraded by microbes. This type of waste is produced where it is produced mainly, it includes your kitchen waste. That is your spoiled food, fruits, vegetables, and also ash, soil, the dung of the animals, the parts of the plants, etc. Parts of the plants and all in the agricultural field, agricultural sector. So all this waste, biodegradable, they can be easily degraded by microbes. And this waste, if you see, it is mainly of organic type and is also called as wet solid waste or wet garbage. If this waste is carefully decomposed, then it can be very, very beneficial, very, very useful for mankind, because we can get compost and fuel of good quality from it. And such biofuel projects have been started in many cities of India. You can get biogas, which is a eco-friendly fuel. So if it is taken care of, if it is decomposed in a proper way. So before decomposition, before carrying out this process, what is our major role? You have to segregate it properly. Now you know, in your house, in your school, wastes are generated which can be biodegradable, or the next one, it can be non-biodegradable. Non-biodegradable means, look at the photos. The electronic parts of the machines, plastic bottles, thermocol articles. So, if you look at this type of waste, it is not easily degradable because it requires a very, very long period of time and the use of various, you can say, techniques which are very costly. So, which type of waste is included under non-biodegradable waste? Plastic, metal and similar other articles. Now, this type of waste is also called as dry solid waste or dry garbage. So, here how we can reduce the generation of this non-biodegradable waste, that we are going to study in the principles later on. But As compared to biodegradable waste, this waste is proving very serious to the nature, the ecosystem, and it is really causing the different types of pollutions around. So this type of waste you have to see how it can be reduced, how its production, how the production of this waste can be reduced. It is non-biodegradable. So if it is not degraded, then it is going to get heaped up, piled up in lots and lots of amount and can prove very dangerous. So as I have told you, we have seen how the generation of solid waste is proving a serious question, a serious challenge ahead of the world. So what are the harmful effects of this solid waste? Why the generation of this solid waste is proving very, very dangerous? Let us see the different causes, the effects, the harmful effects of this solid waste. The first is effect on the biodiversity. As we have seen different examples yesterday, if you are visiting a garden, if you are visiting a park, and then when you visit such places, if you are visiting seashores, the first thing after visiting comes to your mind is eating different things. So when you eat the different types of materials, the leftovers or the wrappers, when you throw in the gardens, in the parks, on the seashores, really it spoils the ecosystem, the beauty of the nature in there, and thus it has an effect on biodiversity. What you are throwing is leftovers, the wastes. But the solid waste which is generated here, it is affecting your biodiversity. Bad smell of the waste, simple, if your garbage collector, the person who collects the garbage from your houses, he doesn't come for 1 or 2 days, and if you are also not throwing it in the garbage bin, then just you imagine the amount of smell which will be produced in your house, which will not allow you to have a very pleasant, you can say, atmosphere. So think about your house, and if such type of garbage is unattended on a very large scale around you. Production of toxic gases. I had told you different industries, different factories, they carry out different activities which results in the production of different poisonous gases which are let out in the environment and cause different types of air pollution, degradation of natural beauty. Just now we have seen the example of garden park, same applies here. Air pollution also is related to the production of toxic gases. Water pollution we had seen yesterday. If the same, you can say, things or the waste which are generated from the factories, they are just sent out, let out into the water bodies, it is going to cause water pollution. In the villages, in the remote areas, bathing of animals, washing of the clothes in the river water and all, it also pollutes and spoils the water. Same soil pollution, if the pollutants, if the wastes are let to accumulate in the soil, it is going to cause soil pollution, and then all these things are surely going to spread different types of diseases, not only among human beings but among all the living creatures in the world. So these are all the harmful effects of not properly managing the solid wastes. Next is solid waste management, the different scientific and eco-friendly waste management techniques. The first technique is composting. What do you mean by this term composting? It is the natural process of decomposition and recycling of the organic material, means the wastes, into a humus rich soil amendment which is known as compost or compost, whatever you call it. Means the wastes which are generated, especially the biodegradable waste, that is converted into a useful, you can say, product, that is compost, which can be used in the farming sector. Next is safe landfill sites. Here we are seeing the different scientific and eco-friendly waste management techniques. So the next is safe landfill sites. What do you mean by landfill? Landfill site or land, it is known as a garbage dump or a dumping ground where you can say dump the different types of wastes which are generated. It is a safe place for the disposal of the generated wastes. Next is vermicomposting. Just now we have studied what is composting. Vermicomposting means, see, many of the biodegradable wastes are generated in each and every house in the form of stalks of vegetables, the skin of the fruits, or the different leftover food and all. So if this, you can say, organic material, if this biodegradable waste is acted upon, is made to be decomposed by different types of worms, especially your white worms or the earthworms, then from that you can get a compost of very good quality. So vermicomposting or vermicompost is a product which is obtained by the decomposition process using various species of worms, white worms, earthworms. That process is known as vermicomposting. In Marathi, you call it as Gandu Sheti. Next is industrial solid waste management or the landfill method, same as landfill sites. Next is pyrolysis. Pyrolysis meaning energy production by the burning of waste at a high temperature. Which type of energy is produced? Energy in the form of biogas, bioelectricity. When the word bio is added means it is safe. And the last and very important is biomedical wastes. What do you mean by this term biomedical waste? The waste which is generated in the medical sector, in different hospitals, in different labs. You know, when you go for blood test, then the syringes which are used, the small plastic bottles which are used for storage of blood, storage of urine. So after its use, they become the waste. Or I have told you earlier also, different types of operations, surgeries are carried out wherein the different organs which are of no use for human uterus, it is being scraped out from the body. So that forms your biomedical waste. Or when you are given the saline treatment, then the needles, the syringes, the saline bottles, that forms the, so all the waste which is generated from the medical sector, that forms your biomedical waste. So that management is very important, which is done by a process known as incineration. What is incineration? Incineration means burning of the waste materials, which is, you can say, especially for the medical sector. And this incineration is carried out in incinerators which operate at about 900 to 1200 degrees Celsius, such a very high temperature. So incineration is a thermal process that transforms your medical waste which is generated into, you can say, inorganic, incombustible matter. Thus what happens? It leads to the reduction in the waste volume, the volume of waste which is generated, and its weight. Means reduction in the amount of biomedical waste. It is carried out by this process of incineration, in short by burning of that waste. If you take a paper in your hand, you can see its volume. If that same piece of paper you burn, it turns into black colored ash. So really there is a reduction in volume. So this heaps of biomedical waste which is generated through the hospitals and all, they are burnt to reduce the volume, to reduce its weight. These are all the different scientific and eco-friendly waste management techniques. Now till now we have studied these wastes are harmful in this way. These are the different techniques which can be adopted to control the amount of waste. But why? Why really it is necessary to manage the amount of solid waste generated? Let us see the different points why it is necessary to manage this waste. The first is for preventing environmental pollution and to keep the surroundings clean. Just now I have told you, imagine the waste which is heaped up in your house and not taken away by the person who comes and collects it every day. If you imagine about your own house, for 1 or 2 days, if it is not taken away, how it creates, you can say, unpleasant atmosphere in your house. Then you think about the world, the nature. It is also your own house. If this waste which are generated around you are not managed, are not taken care of, then surely it is going to create the pollution, different types of pollution in the atmosphere, and it will keep your surroundings unclean. Next is for energy as well as fertilizer production, and through that to generate work and employment opportunities. Why solid waste management is necessary? Because in our previous eco-friendly methods, we have seen different types of energy is produced by the pyrolysis, burning of waste. So different types of energies, fertilizers are produced, and in this activity work and employment is provided to the needy people. To reduce the strain on natural resources through the treatment of solid waste, if the solid waste are managed in a proper way, the strain on the natural resources, you know which are the natural resources, soil, water, its strain is reduced to improve the health and quality of life and to maintain environmental balance. If you want to be healthy, it is not just by, it will not be, you can say, gained by keeping your house clean, by keeping the utensils clean. But if your surrounding area, the area which you live in, the surrounding area, if it is not maintained, it is not in a clean way, then surely it is going to affect your health, your quality of life, and automatically, if this wastes are not disposed of in a proper way, the environmental balance, the beauty of the nature will be lost. Somewhere an imbalance will be produced in the environmental activities. And hence the name of our topic was solid waste management, the need of the hour. So really it is the need of the hour to implement solid waste management practices. Why? To avoid the possible problems due to the solid waste which is generated not only at your house, not only in the factories and all, it is generated from the urban and the industrial areas, and also we have to maintain a clean environment. And for this purpose, what we should do? We should implement measures like increasing the efficiency of your production processes. So, minimum waste will be produced, minimum waste will be generated, reducing your garbage production by recycling and reuse of waste materials. Now, how? Which principles have to be adopted, and how you can help in the management of this solid waste, the different 7 principles and the 3R mantra we are going to study in our next session. Very interesting, very useful for children like you. Now you all are at home due to the pandemic. You can carry out different measures to help keeping our environment, our ecosystem clean. So read the topics before you attend the next session. Till then, a goodbye from my side. Thank you, dear children, for attending today's session. Stay at home, stay safe, and also concentrate on your studies. Thank you.